This is Bottled Sky. I made this. I am making this. I was making this. Then just over 2 years ago, the Fire Nation attacked. This affected my financial situation enough that I couldn't continue active development until now. Well, it still sucks, but the cogs are finally in motion again. So what is Bottled Sky? It's a 2D action game set in space with a focus on smooth, fast-paced exploration and combat. I was developing this on and off in my pastime, mostly throughout 2019, but now I want to start again, not quite from scratch, with a more defined plan and a deadline, which I'll talk about later. I'll be developing this game in Unity, so without further ado, let's get started. Alright, so I've just booted up Unity Hub. So we can see here, Asteroid Astray was the work in progress name for the project. So I was working on this in 2019. Well, I was working on it up until 7 days ago. I mentioned the sound effects that I added for that opening trailer at the beginning of the video. What I'm going to be doing is starting a new project with the latest long-term support version of Unity. It's finally finished installing. We've got it here, the 2021.3 version of Unity. Now we're going to be creating a new project. I've already started that process. See, I've just made this 2 minutes ago, Bottled Sky in that new version, and that is just being set up now. Alright, the project is finally built. So let's take a look. I'm not going to get started just yet. I want to set up some version control. We'll be using GitHub for that, and I'll be back when I've set up that initial commit. Very good. Okay, there is our initial commit. So in our new project, we've got a sample scene set up. That's already there. It's called sample scenes. Maybe I might change this to this will be the main kind of playable area. That's going to be space. I'll just call it space scene. Yep, we'll reload that. We don't actually need the light, the global light 2D. I'm going to get rid of that. The first thing we might do is get the shuttle set up. All we need is a new game object. Actually, we'll use a 2D sprite. This is definitely new to me. Before it was all just one thing, so let's take a look at square. Okay, I'm going to import the same image I used from the previous version of Bottled Sky, so give me a moment to do that. Okay, I've got the image that I use for the shuttle in that first video, but first we're going to add in some new folders here. So I like to have a folder for, what have we got? We've got scenes already. We're going to need one for sprites, audio, prefabs, and well, we won't get too far into this. I'll add more later. So sprites, let me just drag in the previous sprite, which is actually a sprite sheet. You'll see that it is not just one image, it's actually a sprite sheet full of stuff. But for now, I'm just going to try and get the top left. It might be a little bit janky, but let's try that out. Okay, so the automatic version didn't work, so I'm going to have to do this manually. So grid by cell size, 235 by 198. Okay, seems good. I know that the rest are cut off, but all we need is this first one for now. So we've got our one image here. You can see how the rest are kind of cut off because they all have different sizes. But our square, we are going to just place that in there, and now we have our shuttle. Nice. Okay, so now I want to finally get into a bit of coding. We'll have the shuttle point at the cursor, and then you have another control to accelerate in the direction you're facing. You won't be able to move in any other direction, so there's no strafing, no reversing. But first, let's get that direction pointing towards the cursor. So something I forgot to mention was why I actually want to start this as a new project, and there's two reasons for this. So in the last 2 years that I was seemingly not working on this game, I was actually writing the story for this. The other reason is the code architecture is not very scalable in many different places, so I want to actually rewrite a bunch of that so that it is scalable. But now that I've written the story, I know what I want to be in the game, and there's a bunch of stuff in the previous version that is not necessary anymore. So I guess the fastest way I could have done this would have been to just take the original project and move a bunch of it out, but that doesn't make for a great video, so here I am starting at everything from scratch. Okay, so I've got the shuttle now looking at the cursor. This isn't done though. What I want to do next is make sure that the shuttle takes some time to actually rotate around to the cursor. The reason why I want to do that is I don't really want this. Yeah, I want to enforce some sort of turning speed so that momentum kind of makes sense. It doesn't need to be realistic. I will have very fast turning circles. So that is what I'll be working on next. But the code that I have here, I'll probably move this out into its own class, and I can have anything just draw upon this if I wanted to rotate anything to be facing the cursor. And yeah. Okay, so now I've got it set up so that it is now using the physics simulation of Unity rather than just me setting the rotation of the object. So as we can see here, I've got the rotation speed set to 1, and that means that it instantly faces the cursor. But if I set this down to something much lower, then we see a more gradual change. And this is pretty much what I had in the previous game, except in the previous version, it was actually setting the rotation. So now we should have more accurate physics. Next up, I'll be working on movement. It's not quite as simple as just adding a force in the direction the shuttle is facing and then letting linear drag slow the shuttle down. I actually want the shuttle to gradually reach its top speed after about 1 to 2 seconds while accelerating, but I want the shuttle to slow down to a stop in about half a second when you're not accelerating. Even though we're in space, I don't actually want inertia. I want this to be more like controlling a character on ground, but with a little extra momentum. Okay, movement is now mostly done. I might still tweak some of the numbers later down the line, but for now the code itself is done. There are some key features to note that I think are important to have, and some are not very obvious to see at first. The first thing is acceleration. I opted to have the gradual speed up, so that later down the line when I introduce a boost feature, I can make it feel very satisfying when you gain sudden bursts of speed that ignores acceleration. The next thing is sharp turns. So under normal circumstances, if you take a sharp turn while at top speed, you would need to gradually slow down at first and then build up speed, or the other case is you would just have this really big turning circle as the shuttle tries to turn around. But what I've done now is based on your speed and your direction, the acceleration is lower whenever you're trying to make a sharp turn. Hi, thanks for getting this far in the video. I'm new to this, but I've enjoyed it so far and I want to make more. I'm aiming for at least one video a month to start, or maybe even more frequently if a month of work ends up being too much content for one video. I know earlier I said I'd talk about a deadline. I will have more exciting details at some point, but for now I'll just say that I want this done by the end of 2024. I know that's a bit of a way off, but I still have a part-time job taking up my time, and I'm not the only one who is working on Bottled Sky. Go send some love to this talented artist who will be making the majority of the art and animation for the game. I may even be getting more help later on. I'm learning video editing as I go, so in future videos I plan to cut out as much fluff as I can, so that what's left is just jam-packed game dev progress. Feel free to send scathing critical comments about why this video sucks, or tell me what you like so I can give you more of that. If you're interested in seeing future progress videos for Bottled Sky, consider subscribing and ringing the bell to get updates when new videos come out. I'm also considering streaming some of the development process. I was doing so on Twitch back when I was making the first version of Bottled Sky, but I couldn't keep up with any schedule due to a stronger need to support myself. Let me know in the comments if that's something you want to see, and if so, what platform do you prefer to watch streams? That's all for now. I'll see you later.